Okay, so the next one we're going to need is the one that is called adjustment layers, and that's because we are going to put it on put in a curves adjustment layer on there. So you know that you can drag it in to Photoshop to open it up, but I also want you to know that you can right click on a file and go to open with and then choose Photoshop from that list. If it's not visible right there at the top, you can go to choose another app and it'll take you through the program files so that you can choose the app. So this is a picture of a little girl, and if we look at it, we can tell that the color quality is a little bit off. So the first thing I want you to go do is go to the window menu and look at your histogram. And your histogram is basically showing you what colors are there. And if we look at it, we can see that the colors are out of balance. If we go up here to the options menu and we can look at the all channels view, we can compare the red, the green, the blue with each other. Okay, you can see that I can go back to the compact view there, and then I can move on to the next step. So after we've finished looking at that, we want to go and use threshold and curves so that we can adjust the shadows, which are the darkest points of the photo, and the highlights, which are the whitest points, and then of course the midtones, which are the neutral colors. So we're going to go to the image menu and we're going to choose adjustments, threshold. Now don't be shocked, okay? What we're doing here is the threshold converts all the pixels that are dark into black and all of them that are light into white. So right now the threshold level is in the middle. If we move it to the left, it is making things lighter or whiter, and if we move it to the right, everything becomes darker. But what this is going to do for us is, instead of using this as a high contrast black and white image, we are simply going to determine the lightest and darkest points in the photo. So I'm going to drag the threshold to the left, and you see that everything is getting wider. And as I do that, I can pretty much point out what the darkest parts are in here. Okay, so I know that this area up here is. So if I hold down the Shift key, notice that the little eyedropper changes. It has that little crosshair next to it when I hold down the Shift key. That's simply going to mark a point for me. So I'm going to click on that black area. Okay, it left a little marker there. Then I'm going to move my threshold to the right. And as I move to the right, we can see that the lightest points are the girl's hair and her shirt. So again, I'm going to hold down my Shift key and I'm going to click in that bottom area where her shirt is, and it left a second marker there for me. Now, again, we don't want to make this a black and white photo, so do not click OK. Hit cancel. It appears that nothing has happened, but it actually has saved those two little markers for us. Okay? So what I want to do now is I want to apply a curves adjustment layer. What the curves does is it adjusts the points throughout the image's tonal range. So I'm going to go down here. Using the curves adjustment layer allows me to practice non-destructive editing because this layer does not change. When it opens the properties, you see this horizontal bar here. The upper right up here represents the highlights or the brightest parts of the photo. Down here to the left is the shadows, are the darkest points. This horizontal line represents the input levels. Okay, now on the left here, you're going to notice that we have these three eyedroppers. The top one allows us to choose the shadows, or when you mouse over it, it actually says sample, hang on, let me get it back, sample in image to set black point. Okay, so I may need to zoom out a little bit so that I can actually see it behind the properties. If I click that, notice that my two markers have now appeared. So I am going to click right on that marker that says number 1. And look how much better that photo looks already. Okay? You can also see the horizontal line here in the middle, how that has changed. Then I'm going to skip over the midtones and I'm going to choose the highlights. And then I'm going to go down here and I'm going to click on the second marker. And again, it has really changed the tonal quality of this photograph. It no longer has the grayish undertones to it. You can see the blonde hair, the blue eyes, you can see the color of the grass. Look at how the horizontal line, the input levels have changed for that. Then I'm going to click on the midtones. This is to set a gray point. Now, this is supposed to be neutral, but if I click on the gray down here of the sidewalk, it makes it maybe a little too bright. So I'm going to undo, and I'm going to try this, I don't know, it looks to me like dead grass or dead leaves that's on the sidewalk. So I'm going to click on that. And I think that actually gives us a better look. So if I hide my adjustment layer now, I can compare it to the original. Notice all the grayish, bluish undertones there. This one has a whole lot more pop to it. Okay? Now, remember, if this does not work out the way you want, you can simply, you can simply delete that adjustment layer and start over. Yeah, I still am thinking that one. Okay? Or you can even drag these lines where you think they should go. Okay? Now I'm not going to move them anywhere because I like what we've done, but know that it's available. It's an option for you. Okay? All right, so now that that is done, let's go ahead and do a file save as. And remember that we need to go to our OneDrive Photoshop folder, keep adjustment layers there, and we need to change the hashtag to your period number, underscore, and then your last name. Oops. Keep adjustment layer, click OK, and I'm going to save it again as a JPEG. Okay.